Force is a fascinating and fundamental concept in physics. It's one of the key building blocks for understanding how the universe works. What do you mean by force? In simple terms, force is a push or a pull. What force does? Force can change an object's motion. Force can start a stationary object moving. Force can stop a moving object. Force can change the speed of a moving object. Force can change the direction of a moving object. Force can change the shape of an object. Key characteristics of force. Force is a vector quantity. Force has both magnitude and direction. For example, if we push a ball, the ball move forward. The ball move as in the direction if we apply the force. This is why we often represent forces with arrows, where the length of the arrow indicates the magnitude and the direction of the arrow indicates the direction of the force. For example, if we apply the force 5 Newton, which means 5 is the magnitude of the force, N is the unit of the force. The force can be measured in newtons. The standard unit of force in the International System of Units, SI units, is Newton. 1 Newton is defined as the force required to accelerate 1 kilogram mass at a rate of 1 meter per second squared. Result of interaction. Force is always the result of an interaction between two or more objects. You can't have a force acting on an object in isolation. There has to be something exerting that force. Types of forces. Forces can be categorized in various ways, but some common types include contact forces and non contact forces. What do you mean by contact forces? The forces that require direct physical contact between objects is known as contact forces. Examples: normal force, friction, applied force, and tension. Normal force. The force exerted by a surface perpendicular to the object resting on it is known as normal force. Friction, the force that opposes motion between surfaces in contact. Applied force, a force exerted on an object by a person or another object. Tension, the force exerted by a stretched rope, string, or cable. Non contact forces, it also known as field forces. What do you mean by non contact forces? The forces that act over a distance without direct physical contact is known as non contact forces. Examples: gravitational force, electromagnetic force, magnetic force. Gravitational force. The attractive force between any two objects with mass is known as gravitational force. Electromagnetic force. The force between electrically charged particles is known as electromagnetic force. Magnetic force. The force between magnets or moving electric charges is known as magnetic force. Net force. What do you mean by net force? We can understand this force by its symbol name. Net force is the multiple forces act on an object simultaneously. The net force, also known as the resultant force, it is the vector sum of all the individual forces acting on the object. It's the net force that determines the object's acceleration according to the Newton's second law. Force is a fundamental concept that describes interaction between objects and their ability to change an object's state of motion. It's a vector quantity measured in newtons and is governed by Newton's laws of motion.